butter. Okay, we're still going to instantly pick this flex pick. Now I wonder if they take away the Azir that it was EDG who got last time around. You don't necessarily need to pick your jungle here because EDG have already taken their jungle. You don't need to be afraid of any takeaways.
You just go back to the Hecarim, something that Wayne really thrived on in that first game as well. So we have a similar pick ban, at least start here for RNG, and EDG deciding to go for the Thresh, and we know what partners with that. We know that this is the standard 2v2 bottom lane when you see the Thresh first.
So once again, a very strong laning 2v2. They should be able to take turret plates, I'd say, into any meta matchup that I can think of. If they lock in the Xayah, EDG's bot lane will definitely have the stronger end of these trades. And EDG are once again saying, hey, we're still just going to opt into these strong 5v5s. Thresh at least offers a bit of pick potential, but we know the name of the game for EDG. They want to scale. They want to play these 5v5 dragon fights. The question is, can they get it this time? Because we didn't get to see team fights in game 1.
Because we still saw a strong bottom lane from Viper and Meiko, didn't we? We saw the Kalista, we saw the Rel. They were always pushing, but the rest of the map was in shambles, and then it eventually translated to the bottom lane. So Gala going back to the Xayah here in game number 2. Something that he was quiet on, but let's be quite honest, he didn't have to do anything except farm in that game. So
and they were the weak side, right?
Nice.
I feel like this is a very conscious plan by RNG when you go Xayah and Gragas, where it's like, hey, again, post 6, I think this is pretty hard to dive for a lot of bot jungle combinations. Maybe a 4-man dive, it would be much easier. Pre-6 it can be done, but you just have so many tools to buy time as Xayah and Gragas, and it goes really well with how RNG like to play the game.
And I like as well that because we see that Gragas early, once again we have to consider it a potential flex, right? We already see the Alistar ban from EDG. They do not want to give Ming that champion that he made a global effort on as well in the past. So you still have to look at it as like, well, it could be the Xayah Gragas, but also the Alistar needs to be banned away. Let's see if they continue that path, because Rel's still up and available, but Thresh has commonly been fine running against that pick.
I definitely agree. I think the play for RNG is to blind pick a mid lane champion, which is what they normally do anyway, right? Whether it's the Orianna or the Azir, I think either one is fine here. Orianna has been Cryine's bread and butter, but we've seen Azir come much more prominently into the meta. The difference is we've seen that they can flex Orianna to the top lane. I think that is much less likely for an Azir.
Yeah, even though I think it was over in, where did we see it? We saw it in the LCO I was actually watching the other day where they were flexing it to the top lane, but very different quality of play. So I'll hold my thoughts on that one for the time being. With the Azir locked in, is it just going to be a standard mid-mage battle in the middle of the map? Maybe not. There you go.
This is the first Seraphine EDG have played on stage. You can clearly tell they've been playing it in scrims and solo queue since RNG banned it in game 1. It is still indexing into these prolonged team fights, lots of DPS. They want the extended trades. And then Flandre may be going to go back to a bread and butter of the gameplay, but this would be something I definitely like to see. We were talking about, hey, don't go the Gnar, maybe bring something that has like guaranteed engage. And Ornn definitely fits that, but baiting us at the last second, and actually they are going to go into RNG's strength of playing out this topside matchup. Surprising.
Yeah, volatile top. Yeah, it really is, right? When Flandre was gearing up to be a weaker side of the map, we're already seeing the Aphelios and Thresh. Now, what does Xiaohu do? Because we still have those potential flexes. We've got a smile on the face.
You can go the Gragas. Gragas against Jayce is actually an old matchup from 2017 that people would play quite a bit. I remember it at the last IEM that we had in League of Legends. That was one of the go-to picks. Hey, you pick Jayce. Gragas is fine neutralizing that matchup. You can go the Phase Rush variation where it's all about kind of going in with your 3-hit combo, quickly piecing out before Jayce can return any damage. Jayce can't really dive you, and yeah, you're just going to be a thorn in his side. But now RNG's draft changing up to being more oriented towards that bottom side as we're getting a Xayah Rakan. I'm actually not sure if we've had this combined duo in LPL.
I think we've had it once, but you're right. It's been so limited that with the 160 plus games that we've already played in the spring split, it feels like it has been super limited at seeing it together in the bottom lane. So lovers reunite, and for Ming and Gala, that level 1 always to be respected. As we're about to enter Summoner's Rift for a second time, RNG destroyed EDG in game 1 in under 25 minutes. Xiaohu on the Tristana took over the game and sent RNG to an early win. But this time around, we're neutralizing a little bit, as you mentioned. It's a Gragas versus the Jayce. Top lane's not going to be as exciting. It does feel like we're into a bit more of a standard game as we expect in 11.3.
And this could definitely be the game that goes the distance. EDG in their comfort zone. This time, RNG do have to take these team fights. They can't avoid EDG like game one, where they played side lanes, they snowballed. Can they do the same this game? It doesn't look like it. But hey, if RNG truly are the best team in LPL, I want to see them out team fighting EDG.
You'd hope so, because for EDG to come back in this series would show us that we're right all along, that EDG can hold the torch to the current form of RNG. We're going into game 2, folks, to see if EDG can do exactly that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rift as we wait for the Jayehs. Now, oh, there we go. Flag is out. Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to be back, and back with very different compositions. Now, you know, we're talking about the team fights quite a lot here, games getting stalled out. Walk me through a little bit of how EDG operate with these very different side laners, or rather, sorry, solo laners, with Scout on something that's a bit of a supportive measure.
It is going to be really interesting because you have two side lanes that can both play aggressive, both want pressure, and I want to see where Scout divides his time towards. I kind of expect it to be bottom lane because we highlighted how Gragas is a champion that is able to neutralize the Jayce lane, but clearly a side lane focused game from EDG early on in terms of it's going to be about enabling Udyr in these river skirmishes and then translating that to like 4-man plays on one of your sides, probably the bottom half of the map, but again, could be anywhere. Late game definitely has a lot of team fight potency, and they are about the extended trade so they can have all the sustain come off from the Seraphine. For RNG, I think early game, they're actually going to have a much less proactive approach. At the level 6 mark, when the Lovers duo comes online, maybe we start seeing some aggression, but it's about scaling. It's much more standard front to back because you have a much better front line than EDG does.
Yeah, you really do, and a lot of disruption as well. Emperor's Divide, explosive cast, quickness as well from Ming. I like the tools here from RNG, but I actually could say the exact same thing about EDG. Be watching these lanes closely. Top lane, you already mentioned, neutralizing effect here from Xiaohu on the Gragas, so a very different role, while Flandre pushes in the wave nice and early and is able to drop out a ward, towards the Tri-Brush in the top side. Look at where junglers are, though, because we have to look at their influence in the early game and what actually comes out of this quick farm fest. Red buff here for Wei, also topside blue buff for Jiejie, so set up for a bit of a clash towards Scuttle to see who can battle it out first.
I definitely expect Wei to just opt into going bot after this. Jiejie's going to be topside as well. We see that Seraphine is also the one with pressure in mid. She's hugging topside as well. So it could be a situation where EDG have tempo advantage and could find numbers advantage. But ooh, Scout actually looking really low. Cryin doing a really good job with these trades.
Remember, it is Comet Azir in the mid lane too, so I like the option here from Cryin and Rune Choice to bully out the Seraphine. As she just tries and wave clear and, you know, get towards that first item.
And, you know, this is exactly what we expected, right? Scout is the one who's able to hover towards top around mid. We saw that Wei was scouted out by a ward,
but flash body slam, Wei's coming in. Flandre knocked back, he flashes. Is it enough? Barrel roll needed as Wei is still continuing the dive. He swells around for one, and first blood goes to RNG.
And Flandre just not expecting the engage coming out from Xiaohu, because let's remember, they spotted Wei out on the ward. Wei was clearing out the ward that was in Tri-Brush that Flandre did set, but it didn't matter. Nice CC chain coming out from Xiaohu. I almost thought Flandre would get away, but oh, actually, EDG going for a dive on the opposite side of the map, Hysterics.
Will they be able to get the response? Level 5 on Jiejie hasn't hit for now. The dive simmered out, as it is pretty hard to dive Azir and Rakan, who have everything up.
Especially, I think, as an Aphelios and a Thresh, right? You don't have any guaranteed lockdown coming out from this duo. You see a really nice trade in the bottom right of our screen to force out Ming's flash. Viper also not having flash as well.
Yeah. So that was a setup here from RNG. Jiejie coming in, he just swings past and goes back to clearing, while Weiwei's going to be spotted out in the ward on the bottom lane as well. You can see Viper and Meiko now paying a bit of respect in that said lane, knowing that the Hecarim's nearby. Junglers will go back to farming. First Blood gives RNG a bit of an avenue for Wei, especially now that he has the Lucidity boost and he can clear so much faster.
But it also goes to a point earlier we were talking about where we were like, hey, where will EDG put their mid-jungle pressure on, because they're going to have two side lanes that, you know, are more volatile, do want to win and do a push. And we can see that now, right? Jayce and Aphelios and Thresh are both respectively pushing their own lanes. And I was expecting to see Jiejie hover around his bot side and maybe try to threaten contest for...
Oh, Cryin, he's close, he's close. Flash was still there for Scout. Cryin had the same, trying to burn it out from the Seraphine. And yeah, Lyric, sorry to interrupt, but Cryine's doing a great job trading.
Exactly, that came out of nowhere, especially for the fact that Scout had Flash up that whole time. Obviously, it was the correct choice to hold it since he didn't have to burn the Summoner in the end, but I definitely unexpected flash of aggression coming out from Cryin, but this is what we love to see from him. This is why he was so touted on E-Star in 2020 spring, and why we were so torn in summer, where it's like, hey, Xiaohu and Cryin are both top-tier mid laners in the LPL. How do you pick which one starts? I love to play in 2021. Start both of them.
Yeah, that's right. You know, do we have a top laner? Well, we don't really need one. As Xiaohu body slam goes through, actually holds on to it. Excuse me, I was wrong. As Flandre now on low health bar. Junglers trying to get involved. Xiaohu on the wrong side of the map, but might not care. Waiting for cooldowns to come back again. Barrel roll for Flandre. He walks into it. Body slam for the disengage, but the Phoenix AoE does the job. Now for Wei close to getting another dive in the top lane, but it will be a 1-for-1 trade, with both top laners dying in the end.
And bear in mind that EDG actually had a pretty nice advantage in that 2v2, because Flandre and Jiejie were both level 6, to where Xiaohu and Wei were only level 5, and they were also fighting in EDG's minion wave. But Flandre had just already been low enough, RNG have enough burst to at least guarantee the 1-for-1. And even Jiejie backing off in the end, as we see that RNG's bot lane looking for the aggressive 2v2s. They don't find it, but that's still what we love to see.
It really is. And forcing out another key summoner. This time it was Meiko's Flash. Note that every time we go to another engage at the top side, bot is just dishing it out. I should also mention that Viper's Cleanse will be up and available soon as well. About 10 seconds till that's there, and EDG will be able to utilize that if something goes wrong once again. But we're in an early game where there's been a lot of back and forth action. Gold dead even here with 2 kills to 1. As junglers coming in, no steal available, running after the bear. The flash slap right into Wei's face, and actually into his booty on the horse. He's getting beaten down with a 2-level disadvantage. The bear comes in once again, and it's a solo kill over to Jiejie.
Oh, but Cryin still posturing. So close, but I love Jiejie taking advantage of this matchup, taking advantage of his prio in the bottom lane. We know Udyr is a much more potent duelist in the early game. They have the same items, but it doesn't matter. He knows that Wei wasted his ghost. It's not only going to be a solo kill, but they're going to turn it into first Drake for the side of EDG. And this game is much closer when RNG are forced onto a standard draft.
When they are, you know, playing through the response of these lanes, when Jiejie now has 2 kills as well. Let's remind everyone that there is a level differential now for Jiejie, who just picked up the dragon, and who is in a 30 CS lead over Wei this game.
And we've seen that Wei has actually been hovering around lanes quite a bit, right? He's hovered around top numerous times, hovered around bot when Jiejie was full clearing towards top side. Cryin?
Oh, Cryin's go to the enemy blue. Emperor's Divide used, shifting sands away. Scout wants to sing at him, does so to force the flash, and that was a really good response from EDG. Even with the blue buff being contested, Jiejie's feeling it.
But yeah, RNG keep going because Flandre is under his turret. They have complete vision of him catching that wave. Nice use of the bounce back from Xiaohu. But Jiejie's saying, hey, in response, we know Azir has no flash. We know he has no Emperor's Divide. Meiko's already on his way up. We are going to take this Rift Herald.
Viper and Meiko, in fact, as well, not leaving bottom laners there. And Gala's moving down to the bottom lane, so just giving it up completely. And this response from EDG this early game, a lot more proactive, all said and done. Herald in the back pocket now, a level 18 Udyr, who still holds a majority of the lead.
And the big thing is, right, it's definitely more proactive from the side of EDG, which I love, but also they've just been able to shut down any aggression that RNG has wanted. So we're going at a much more stable pace, which is the typical pace of the EDG game. We already highlighted in the first game that they are bottom 3 in terms of average game time, I guess it'd be top 3, right? They have one of the longest game times in the LPL. I should use my words correctly. So they're fine at going this like calm pace. There's been 4 kills in 9 minutes. We get the Rift Herald. We're going to start transitioning to bot. They're definitely going to get these plates over to Viper. And heck, they're already setting up for it now with the Lantern. But looks like Meiko just trying to scare the members of RNG.
Viper was trying to do the same as well. Moonlight Vigil was thrown out moments ago off screen. Waiting for the Herald placement, but Jiejie just holding off for now. You can see already the aggression's there. Good death sentence, but it is Ming who turns it into an engage. The quickness comes through. Immediate cleanse from Viper as Gala now locked in the box thanks to Meiko. Half health for the bottom lane. Jiejie hovering around. Ming and Gala trying to turn the engage, but it could be a ruse.
Definitely is. Jiejie's here.
Death sentence dodged nicely by Ming. Man, when lovers unite, there is nothing you can't do.
Definitely not. I really love seeing RNG play this bot lane. We know Ming over the years has always been someone willing to pull out more off-meta picks, and Rakan has been played 10 times in the LPL before this, but still definitely not meta by any means, as we see in the mid lane. Cryin forcing out the flash from Scout, and it doesn't matter if we're low kills, right? There is forced action everywhere on the map. We're consistently burning summoners, consistently fighting for vision, stealing enemy buffs, and when both comps want a team fight, it's going to keep going at this pace. EDG do also have the added option of looking for side lane pressure with the Jayce, but when you have a Seraphine in the mid lane and an Aphelios as your AD carry, I don't expect him to be this split-pushing side lane Jayce. I do think he'll group up with his team, try to throw down the accelerated shock blast from an angle, and just look to play with range against RNG.
Also good with individual lane pressure, right? You can just leave Jayce there, and if you know that you've got good vision control, you can just kind of control the lane, continue at the pace it's going. 10 CS leaders you'd expect here as well, while Xiaohu just kind of keeping up with the wave. Also want to note that while I was talking about vision, it is actually RNG who are controlling towards the top side, even with deep vision towards the blue buff for Jiejie. Seems important when Wei has been trying to catch up in farm, trying to check Jiejie and trying to set up his lanes, that he wants to know where this Udyr is at all times.
And I also think they know that they've seen Jiejie now 3 or 4 times around bot side, so they can get that vision mid. Jiejie now finally going to drop that Rift Herald. Going to look for the dive.
Oh my god, Keb take, he's in big as Gala sends out the feathers to fly. Jiejie walks to the left to dodge away. Graviton with the Moonlight Vigil won't connect. Death sentence between the two as well. Great Blade Caller coming in. And now for RNG, they want to turn the plate. Teleport to fly through the river. And look at this lyric, Cryin even on the back end as well. Turret will go down, but will EDG get out alive with Ming and a 2-man knock-up. The quickness burn. Viper up against Gala in the face. Healed up with Severum. The Blade Caller not good this time, as Wei just needs to kill this AD carry. Meanwhile, Flandre sent backwards. It's a messy one, but RNG do the job and do it well.
Beautiful punish coming out from RNG. Ming with the sidestep, the Blade Caller from Gala, all members being on the same page. We coined it the sleuth in our opening segment, this group of bears. They're so good at reacting to plays as a coordinated unit. You can see their shot calling and communication is on point, and it turns into a dragon. So very competitive game 2 this time.
This time around, it's heating up and in the bottom lane. The brawl doesn't go to EDG. RNG picking up the dragon. Gold might be even, but we kind of equalized the game where it was running out of control after giving so much gold to EDG's bot.
Yeah, and we were skipping the point where, again, beautiful dodges coming out from RNG's bot lane. Just really good TPs to set this one up. Meiko bursted down by the Gragas. I'm surprised how long Viper can stay alive with his lifesteal on the Aphelios, but Cryin on the opposite side with the Emperor's Divide onto Flandre to burst him down. Xiaohu follows up as well, and look at Xiaohu again. He's been involved in all 5 kills RNG have gotten, but EDG already on the map looking to make aggressive plays.
Let's see if they can set up for the top lane turret, because plating's still available for the next 20 seconds. Viper doesn't have the hardest shove without the Infernum available. Moves into the Calibrum, into the Crescendum, excuse me. We'll now be able to push this down, but plating will be dismissed as he gets there. So for RNG, not going to lose too much. Is Ming and Gala here to respond as well? We just flipped the map, but lane assignment, a little bit different.
It makes sense because, right, Dragon just went down. We're going to wait for the next Herald to come up, so both teams wanting to have their more members there as possible. Neither top laner has TP, though, so we already see Xiaohu making his way over. But Scout has TP, actually, so lane assignment makes sense for the side of EDG. We might see another 5v5. Cryin also waiting in base, has his TP as well.
Also important to note the items, because if we get towards this Herald fight, I was noticing before we have the Moonstone Renewal onto Scout. We are just looking at the gold taken from turret plates. Of course, what we saw was EDG breaking down the bottom lane turret for first turret blood, but we see the chem tank that was picked up earlier. Still no Eclipse here for Flandre, as hooks keep missing, as everyone keeps throwing out skill shot.
But comparing the items, right? 2 turbo chem tanks, a Leandri's, and an Essence Reaver against a Moonstone and a turbo chem tank on the opposite side definitely feels like RNG are in a strong position to take fights once again. And Aphelios has no flash. So I guess...
As Empress Divide used. Hang on, Flandre could just be solo killed. Cryin doesn't care that Scout's here. He actually has to flash away Explosive Cast. Thought he had the kill. Way to finish it off. He has the Onslaught of Shadows. Flandre knows, so backs away. A close call, but is the HP bar enough for RNG to translate this into something?
No, I actually don't think that was worth it in the end, and that's obviously easy to say in hindsight, right? Had the barrel been able to take down Flandre, you have numbers advantage on the map. It doesn't matter if you don't have 2 ultimates, you can turn towards that Herald. The fact that Flandre still lives means I think it's pretty much a bust. That's why we see EDG going for this one. But, you know, still nice aggression coming out from RNG, but I like the punish by EDG with the fact Flandre gets away. They get the Herald. And now it's about where do they put it down? Because both top and mid are kind of even in terms of neither are really missing out on turret plates. So I once again expect it to be a mid lane Herald drop sort of game for EDG.
Break open the game and, you know, give Aphelios something to play through as well. I was going to say that we're going to clear waves continuously in that mid lane and then set up for those objectives and at least the fights around the next couple of dragons. I was put off point there because I thought something was going to happen in the bottom lane with RNG just shifting through the blanket of the wall.
To walk through kind of the philosophy of how I see Rift Heralds and turrets, it's like, okay, you don't really have a split pusher that wants to play through long side lanes despite having the Jayce. You don't have any turret that's low enough to where Herald gets it in one shot, and the enemy team has good wave clear in Azir, Gragas, and Xayah. So it could be quite difficult to take down this turret without the Herald in the future. So to me, that's kind of like the logical thought process of how we get to EDG should drop mid.
Unless you can really utilize Flandre's poke, right? Or, you know, Scout finding a pick on the Seraphine and a bit of AoE poke that she has as well. I think it's an important point to note with the Azir wave clear. Gala's wave clear on the Xayah as well. Lyric, I'm waiting for that dragon. I'm waiting for the Herald placement just to time up with it as well. Waiting for this game to escalate even further because the early game has been so back and forth. And as you said, even though it's been limited kill count, and people will be like, 7 kills, 17 minutes? That doesn't seem limited, but in the LPL, and especially in Game 1, we had an explosive one that went from replay to replay. Maybe it hypes itself up a little bit again as that Herald finally placed 30 seconds before the Ocean Dragon comes up.
And to be fair, Six, it feels like we've had a flash burnt every minute or two, so we are seeing the action. RNG still going.
Hey, we're right. Ming's flashed immediately in. Viper gets on out. He has a crescendo set up away. The Onslaught of Shadows, a 3-man fear with the flank from Xiaohu. Viper gets past until the explosive cast. The Blade Caller reaches true. And RNG know how to team fight best.
And RNG were decisive. We saw numerous members flash right on top of Viper. Wei goes in, Ming and Xiaohu follow up. Cryin already in range to do damage. You highlight the Blade Caller coming out from Gala, and this is going to be another Drake for RNG.
I should correct myself. I guess it's not a team fight if Flandre's not there, right? Still sitting in the bottom lane. RNG act quickly, pick up the Ocean Dragon, 2 objectives to their name. And that's the second time this game that we've seen RNG turn the tides.
And we're gonna go straight into a replay here. Nice use of the Herald by EDG, but RNG noticed an opportunity to jump onto EDG. Keep your eye on Wei, because he ults forward, fears Viper, and then bam, completely just wrecked by the RNG team. Nice flank coming in from Xiaohu. They're also able to take down the Thresh, and no answer coming from the side of EDG. They also just don't have a front line, right? Sure, your Udyr does build tank, but again, no true resistance steroids in his kit. He's enabled a little bit by the Seraphine, but ultimately RNG have ways to jump on your damage dealers, and they're going to take advantage of it every time.
Let's also remember, Seraphine wasn't there as Viper taking a bit of damage from Gala in the mid lane trade. Scout was actually coming to the play late, so no supportive maneuvers to help them get out of there. And as RNG go quick, Jiejie, a sneaky steal. That's literally the epitome of run, stun, done. Or run, steal, done, to paraphrase myself. Jiejie leading in the jungle. He's been the star member of EDG this game, but RNG, as we've seen, have just been able to take these fights and take these picks pretty seriously so far.
It's funny
and
because
we're left with another timer.
EDG are ahead in gold, but I mean, RNG are clearly the team who are in control of the map.
I think this has been a great series to show like how those little differences can lead to one thing, right? Explosive cast use. Flandre sidestep
Nice,
was
Flandre.
just so nice.
Now we're going to see both teams kind of back off. There's nothing on the map to fight over right now. Baron will be coming up, so we should expect to see some topside vision come out. Both teams have very potent Baron-taking compositions, right? Aphelios on one side, a ton of sustain. Azir and Xayah on the other side. This is going to be a fight for vision. It does look like EDG will be the team to continue controlling mid-wave, so it should be easier for them to transfer into getting topside vision.
Because right now, clearing out for now, you can see RNG just towards the red buff. Xiaohu and Wei linking up quite a lot. Look at where Flandre is. He's backing, has the teleport available. He's not a silly boy. He's not going to teleport to this wave. And Wei ever proactive like he was in that game one, setting himself up for his side laner to just find something.
Now I want to see what EDG can really do, what opportunities they can find, because you don't have too much pick potential in terms of sides, especially with the way RNG is playing, right? Because Xiaohu is always being shadowed by Wei consistently since we've gotten to the mid game, and it's like, okay, we keep setting up EDG want a 5v5, they want a 5v5, but RNG keep doing such a good job of, again, finding engages from multiple angles. It's something we talked about in the second series of the day, that it's very hard for EDG to operate when they don't have a true front line, and they also aren't at their big item breakpoints yet. Your big damage dealer is Viper. He's still sitting on one item. Seraphine's obviously a supportive champion, Moonstone into Staff of Flowing Water, and Flandre hasn't been grouped with the team for a lot of these fights.
Gala, has he found a pick? Has he helped this out? Flashes into the death sentence. Boxes there. Jiejie on the side. The feathers roll on out as Ming short of the engage. This already started pretty heftily as Jieje's running after them. RNG don't have a defensive turret, and you can see once again they found Viper and they wanted to kill him.
I do think that was so questionable coming out from Gala, though. Blowing your flash and cleanse. I mean, nice read by Meiko, right? Throws out the death sentence, but still, I'm not sure if Gala realistically should be flashing forward. That's such a critical cooldown in a lot of these team fights. Dragon's coming up in 1 minute, and you now have freely chosen to give over your flash. Even if you didn't get hooked and Viper died, I realistically don't think it'd be a massive deal.
You'd have to use everything just to get out of there now with no timers up. But RNG, have they found another pick? Yes, they have. Meiko the target. And you know what? It's okay now because RNG are going to try and threaten the Baron.
Really nice play coming out from Cryin, utilizing the brush. Empress Divide comes out. Now they're just going to turn towards mid lane and put down some siege on this turret. But Xiaohu, he's still looking to go.
Cast. Flash burnt by Scout to get out of there. The Seraphine almost taken down. And RNG, after clearing the mid-wave, clearing the vision, now they threaten to lack off from EDG.
It was a really nice flash from Scout. Kind of left me surprised. Pretty much instantly doing it the second he got engaged on by Xiaohu. Dragon is up in 15 seconds, though. And you have a man advantage on the map. I'm surprised RNG aren't more aggressively trying to fight over mid-wave, but it looks like they kind of want to bait them into thinking they're going to do Baron. No, actually, they're just sending Cryin top.
It was a scrying orb used by EDG before. They were using Cryin's DPS to just start the Baron up, but then they got pulled off, they stopped it, and nothing really comes of it from the pick. So it's a good pick, but doesn't lead to anything as Jiejie's walking in the jungle yet again. Xiaohu and Wei will have to back away, and I think from the back timing lyric, the pick doesn't really mean anything.
I'm really confused that RNG end up giving this one over. They were missing a lot of key abilities and ultimates, right? There was no Gragas ultimate, there was no Empress Divide, Gala has no flash for whatever reason. And yeah, so I guess not feeling confident enough that they can opt into it, even though it was a 5v4. And RNG, though, Scout's going to
teleport out. Cryin, I think he had the ultimate, wasn't willing to commit. Scout knew he was going to die there, so he backs away, and topside priority is given over. Might even be the first turret of the game for RNG. Because you're right, like, they got nothing for it. They gave up the Dragon priority. They still haven't picked up a turret, and EDG just go mid and send Viper to do the bidding.
Oh, though, is Jiejie going to get caught out? Actually, Jiejie's going to be the one catching people out.
He doesn't care. He's an Udyr. He'll run around it. Cryin still hasn't joined in the fight. EDG go back into River, and this has been really weird macro, right? Like this, we've been shifting gears a lot.
It's definitely been more chaotic. It's like more chaotic, but more controlled. I feel,
There's a Flandre. That's onto Xiaohu. Ming goes in for the explosive cast. Box lays down. Gala ults the wrong way. Their sentence was short, but he gets encored. And when you get sung at, you want to go towards it. There's Way now in the middle, and RNG walk to their death. Cryin, Emperor's Divide. Flandre flashes over, forces his own. And that's Baron after what was just shenanigans.
I feel like RNG are paying for their previous sins. Like, sure,
yes.
Gala definitely misplayed that fight, but again, he is down Cleanse and Flash because of his own doing, which obviously right there could have been the difference between life or death and not losing Baron. But EDG have just opened up this game. They find the 3 picks necessary, they get Baron, they're gonna get a ton of gold from the upcoming turrets they should be able to take as well. They're going to get the items they need on Aphelios, and we've already seen, hey, Scotland's one good ultimate could be the difference between a teamfight win and loss.
That was just perplexing. We'll get a look in a second, but RNG now down 4,000 gold. EDG find the pick, find the fight. We'll look again because Meiko, his max range hook, set it up.
Yeah, Ming goes in for the engage. I want to keep my eyes on Gala, throws out the ultimate, but just gets a nice ult coming out from Scout that sets it up, but again, should have those summoner spells available. That's a massive difference in this fight going forward. And I find this really interesting that, we're actually going to get Meiko's point of view.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just really clean hook into the death sentence, throws down the box as well, so he's slowed. And they're just doing a nice job of continuously zoning for his team and playing Peel. Once again, a point-blank hook. But I feel like this game has been more action-packed than Game 1, despite it being lower kills, right? Like, we are having consistent aggression where it's look for an engage, force summoners, but just nothing being executed upon.
And nothing escalating as high as you'd expect, except for EDG after the last play. Jiejie's on a ward. RNG waiting around the wing, and I think it was a partial bait as bot is building up in the wave. Mid's there with the Baron buff ensuing, thanks to Meiko. EDG is shifting gears, going to the bottom lane now and trying to force RNG under this umbrella.
And it's all up to Flandre throwing out that poke. Scout as well is going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage. They should be able to get this one. I wonder if RNG are going to look for the engage. Way is posturing.
Locket Shield was actually just used there by Ming. The 0-6 Rakan trying to absorb some damage, but EDG forced them away. Inner turret going to drop down here in the Baron play. Already starting off to a success.
And this is where EDG's comp can do good, right? Where they have Baron, they're allowed to just group up right in front of you, throw down all the damage from Scout and Flandre. If the Calibrum is up for Viper, which as of now he does have it, he will be able to poke you as well. And they're just going to rotate around the map, look to take this mid turret. I actually think they probably might just go towards top side because that's where the last outer is. The only problem is they don't actually have that wave set up to look for that.
Now trying to end up for a pick. You're right, the wave kind of crashing in. I think even so, RNG's wave pushing harder at this point. RNG clear out the mid wave yet again, and that should be the, Baron play. A minute before Dragon, so EDG getting the reset timing off. And Lyric, around this next fight, even then, I worry because EDG we've seen, Scout is such a big tool with the Seraphine shields at this point in the game. We know that Jiejie is a huge, annoying frontline that doesn't take too much damage. And Viper's getting to that point now with 3 items where he's real 200 yearsing it up.
The good thing for RNG is if they look for a fight in River, I feel like it gives them a lot more access points to where we highlighted that one fight in mid lane was all about the flank Xiaohu was able to find, comboed with Way coming in with his ultimate on the front. If they can do that, maybe you can just burst out Scout or Viper right away before anything's a problem. The hard things about those is that Viper does have Cleanse as well as Flash.
Oh, but Way might be caught out doing his own camps. There's the onslaught of shadows, 15 seconds from the Dragon. Thank you for soul points, says EDG.
Yep, Way able to get out of there though, so at least he doesn't go down, but you're right, soul point for EDG being much more valuable. RNG obviously saying, hey, it's okay, we do have scaling in our composition. And as we've seen throughout the year, it does feel like champions and like their builds and how they scale definitely outweigh Soul, but at the same time you're also facing a Seraphine Aphelios on the opposite side, so it's not like EDG don't scale well.
I know you haven't seen anime, and I know the IG Top Esports is coming up, the Naruto comparison, but kind of like Rock Lee putting his leg weights on, right? You know, it's still doable. He's still strong. But if you take away the leg weights, the Ocean Soul, then things are a lot more manageable. At the very least, I'm not sure if I got that comparison the wrong way around. I do know that I'm right with my anime references, though. RNG getting the push here in mid, while Jiejie is just always at a flanking angle, and I like this from EDG. They've set up Baron Vision a minute 45 before it spawns. They've just put themselves to Soul Point. They're giving everything to Viper in terms of farm, hoping he gets towards that second item before we get for that Soul fight, that Baron fight that could ensue.
I just love that you highlight Jiejie's Udyr and how much of an annoyance it's being, right? Because he has Turbo Chem Tank for the active movement speed. He has Force of Nature, which is 5% movement speed passive. And then the movement speed you also get when you take ability damage. You have Dead Man's Play, which is more movement speed. He's just speeding around the map.
I would also like to reiterate that for the Udyr mains out there, games like this give them life, especially when, you know, the win rates are balancing out across the leagues, especially since we're going later in patches. In the LPL, Udyr is still a fantastic champion. I mean, in a lot of leagues, let's be quite honest. You can see here, Jiejie's 3 levels above Wei. So if it does come to a 50-50, a smite fight, going to have the natural advantage to the tune of 120 damage. Plus, he's still such a nuisance with those 3 items. You can see, Cryin does no damage, thanks to the Force of Nature, thanks to the Chem Tank. And he's always in threat of being run at as well.
And now we're at the point in the game, Hysterics, where it's going to be very standard. We don't have either comp that we expect to be playing through side lanes. Both of them want a 5v5 team fight. There's no neutral objective up right now. Dragon's up and Baron isn't up. So unless one team mispositions, I think we should have a pretty, I don't want to say stale, but I'd say expected next few minutes.
Okay. Stale is the word you said at heart, so I'll take that. In the LPL, though, we don't do stale. And again, 13 kills, 31 minutes, still pretty good. There you go. Jiejie caught out, but you tried to set the engage up. Ming didn't force the flash, but Jiejie burns his. And that's a pretty big summoner, considering that we're now sitting with a purple worm on the left of our screens and a dragon coming up in 2 minutes 30, where Jiejie won't have that summoner.
It is definitely important for Udyr not to have that. The good thing is, again, we highlighted the movement speed as Aphelios ults.
That's a Moonlight Vigil. Gala pulls the feathers back. Xiaohu rotating back to the mid lane. Flashes away, man. You're a Gragas. You need that with the body slam, and it's tit for tat here as RNG still going in. Ming thinking about the engage. We are full-on A-ramming, hoping that someone messes up.
And I love it, Hysterics. What do I know? Jiejie, though, going in.
Bear versus horse animal adventures continue. Wei dodging the poke as well. That's crucial. Jiejie still sitting in here. Wei,
they're just running back and forth. Jiejie and Wei are just running back and forth.
We're panning out because the animals are fighting up top. The humans are trying to separate them. RNG move into river. The graphic goes up. Encore flies through. That's the wombo from EDG's. Flash is burnt from Ming to get out of there. EDG did sufficient damage too. Now the river is theirs, but will they dare start the Baron? I think not.
So Scout lost Flash, but in the past minute, Xiaohu, Cryin, and Ming have also lost Flash as well. Significant advantage for EDG, and they're going to do it. They're just going to force this Baron. Yeah. Certain members aren't here. Rakan not here. No TP. Gala not here as well. EDG might just be able to burn this.
Remember that Wei is 3 levels down. If he gets a steal, he's going to do it with a miracle. Going to 2K, they're going to risk it. Into the onslaught. Doesn't take it. It's secured by Meiko, of all people. The Thresh King makes sure EDG have a chance to take us to a game 3.
Doesn't matter if your jungler can't smite properly. Meiko's years of experience stepping up and guaranteeing that one for the side of EDG. Dragon, though, up in 45 seconds, so this action not going to slow down anytime soon, but with a 6K gold lead, with the Seraphine strong, with Viper on point with all summoners, RNG missing a bunch of crucial summoners, being down in gold, missing ultimates, this is definitely EDG's game to take.
They're going to have the earliest setup. Wei still not available for 10 seconds, and I know we're going to get to look at that Baron play, look at how Meiko secured it, but for the meantime, we have to focus on this next objective you're talking about. Teleport being burnt into the mid lane turret, which is still up. Out of turret at 33 minutes is not a good sign as Graviton hits down An encore to fly through. Do you want more? Gala going forward in the Uzi way. The Blade Caller reaches in. Ming is dead immediately. Cleanse burn from the AD carry. He's shock blasted to hell. Chilling Smite down. And EDG want to take this the distance as they clean out RNG by the 3.
And they don't even need to look for the Drake Hysterics. They just get to push forward. Cryin gonna go down.
It's a flash from Flandre, brother. Emperor sent on out, but all Emperors must on die as Way just goes to his death. He's autoed, he dodges, but he's smited down for the successful kill. And with the ace down, EDG are ready to take us the distance.
And both teams showing us their stylistic differences, where they're strong. Team fighting for EDG this game, side laning for RNG in game 1. Now it's a showdown of which one will reign supreme in game 3.
We go the distance. And EDG, we didn't see much of them in game 1, but sure as hell in game 2 we did. Scout on the Seraphine, hitting some pretty good ultimates to pick off RNG, and you know, we got messy towards the end there. We got messy sitting in the ARAM for quite a while. Something that we've seen many times in the LPL.
The thing is though, right? EDG understood, hey, our comp needs time if we actually want to fight. And, you know, they took the time they needed to fight. They waited for their item power spikes, and then bam, we find out EDG actually just get their 10,000th kill in this game. I like the discipline early on to wait out the farming power spikes, and then bam, the explosion onto the scene in mid-game was beautiful.
Imagine getting 10,000. I don't know if that final kill was number 10,000, but congratulations to EDG. 10,000 kills in the LPL. And again, it flashes back to why at the start of this segment, as we're looking at Miller and Wawa from the Chinese side, big shout out. The classic comedy duo, I think they're known as well. Quite an entertaining duo. This is like our G2 fanatic. You know, you and I were talking about and the way we can kind of get our European viewers that I know will be gearing up to watch a little bit of LEC later, or at least in a couple of hours, that this is our El Clasico. This is our dynasty. RNG and EDG have both been at the top, both won an MSI, both had multiple championships. RNG almost with the golden year, EDG with Deft and Pawn in 2015. After winning MSI, we thought this team could be the best in League of Legends, and both these teams have a lot of reputation within the league, and when it goes to a game 3, it kind of makes you blush, you know? You feel like you're on a first date again.
You know, the funny thing is, this also foreshadows playoffs, and if we look at 2020, top esports actually 2-0 JDG both times in spring and summer regular season. Then we saw what panned out in playoffs. So we're already getting into new charted waters in terms of like recency in LPL with, hey, we're now 1-1. Whoever wins game 3 right now is completely up in the air. And then I'm just looking forward to, I can't wait to see this in a best of 5.
Yeah, always. Like, and if we get to an RNG EDG where they're sitting towards the end of the bracket, we get another finals with them, or at least like a semi-finals again. Those in the past have shown they go the distance, and some of the most exciting matches in the LPL history have come from these two teams. And talking more about this game, Lyric, like, we just look at damage numbers. Scout's not going to do that much. Let's be realistic. But the fact that Flandre did 22,000 and the most on the other side of RNG was Gala, it just puts it in perspective of how this Jayce kind of entered mid-game.
I mean, it's just also the way EDG's comp plays, right? This is exactly what they wanted, where, you know, if we're A-ramming mid up against an Aphelios Jayce and we have the sustain from a Seraphine, we are completely happy. Sure, they have the Azir, but we definitely outranged them. We saw Viper managing his guns really well. Almost always had the Calibrum when he was on our screens. Flandre hitting a ton of accelerated shock blasts. And this is the kind of composition that EDG are very good at with how much discipline they're able to show.
And I think this is a kind of composition where in the past, when we've watched this from EDG, we've been like, oh, who do we compliment here? Who do we talk about? Because it is such that full 5 squad that comes together, right? Like Viper putting out DPS, but more so like Meiko being a disruptor, Jiejie doing the same thing, having a jungle difference all game long. You can compliment many different elements of this team, and all of them kind of come together to say that EDG played that game better and more stable.
They're a team that they aren't more or less than the sum of their parts. They are literally the sum of their parts. They're 5 excellent players who can step up at any time. They're very, I'd say, systematic and streamlined in the way they play the game. They all have a role to play, and they stick to that. And it feels like if any one member didn't step up, EDG probably wouldn't be so successful.
I hope at the very least we get, you know, the flexibility we saw from RNG in game number 1. We see EDG at their strengths in game 2, because we come to a game 3 right before the LEC lyric. Like, what more could you ask? We lead from competitive League of Legends into the second best competitive League of Legends. So we're going to go to a break, and the EU fans are probably going to